Okay, from Kalamazoo, Michigan, this is Charles Coates with the Block Paper Print Livestream series, and I am so excited for today's live stream because I'm going to be talking about Southern Graphics Council International. So some of you may know about Southern Graphics, especially if you teach printmaking or you're an artist printmaker, or even if you're a student, you may have heard your faculty, your professor mention SGCI in a printmaking class. But if you don't know about SGCI, I'm going to tell you all about it today and list my favorite takeaways from the conference. I'm going to pull up the agenda right now so you can see what we're going to be talking about. So one, I'm going to explain what SGCI is if this is new to you. Two, I'm going to show you what I saw at the conference. And then three, I'm going to talk about my 3 takeaways from this year's conference and how SGCI can make you a better printmaker. Honestly, this last part and how SGCI can make you a better printmaker is going to be woven throughout the entire presentation. So sit back, relax, and let's talk about SGCI, the world's largest annual printmaking conference. Okay, so I'm going to hide this. And first, I'm going to talk a little bit about SGCI in general. So SGCI was founded in 1972 in South Carolina by a printmaking professor named, let's see, I have Boyd Saunders. And yes, see, I have my notes, got to keep my notes intact for this. This is my OneNote card. I couldn't even remember it. So this was a really special conference for many reasons. One, it's the 50th anniversary of Southern Graphics Council. And two, it's the first conference in 3 years. So here's how Southern Graphics works. As I mentioned before, it started in 1972 in South Carolina because this printmaking professor, Boyd Saunders, realized that all these print programs were isolated. There wasn't a lot of cross communication, and it was really hard to figure out what was going on in the academic state of printmaking. So he decided to invite everyone he knew involved in print to get together and just talk about what's going on. And they met in New Orleans and ended up going to different cities every single year. They called it Southern Graphics Council. It became a official nonprofit that first year. And so every single year they would host it in a different city. And as the name suggests, it started in the South, but now they're hosting it all over the US. So for example, the last conference I went to was in Portland, Oregon. And before that, they had a conference in San Francisco. And I believe around 10 years ago, they changed the name, maybe even a little bit longer than that, maybe 11 or 12. They changed the name to Southern Graphics Council International because the conference at this point was drawing a global crowd, right? People are traveling from Canada, Japan, India, Australia, all to the US to talk about prints. How exciting is that? So here's some of the things I pulled from the conference, and this will give you a really good idea of what it's like. So this is a typical catalog that you receive when you go there, and it will just outline the schedule for 3 days. It's a 3-day conference. You know, you have a letter from the president, and then a schedule full of demos, panels, exhibitions, hands-on demonstrations. It's really, really incredible. There's a vendor fair. And so I would say the first thing about Southern Graphics when you're going there is that it's just a very fast and intense way to reground yourself in the current state of printmaking. And that's why they made the the conference in the first place. So I'm going to come back to these in just a second. So for now, I'm just going to show you what I saw at the conference. So I'm going to pull up my slideshow here. Okay. So SGCI Madison. So it was held in Madison this year. And one of the really cool things about Southern Graphics is that there are all these opening and ending ceremonies. And so because Southern Graphics in Madison or the Madison campus has a really large native like indigenous history, there was a strong emphasis on indigenous arts. And so it was really exciting. The opening conference had live singing from some of the faculty there, really beautiful, live indigenous singing. Let's get to the good stuff, right? So first day of the conference, one of the major things that you're going to want to see are the demos. And if you're the type of artist that likes to learn new things, this is the chief reason why you're going to go, because there are so many types of demos. These are the ones that I saw. This is a marbling demo. Actually, I'm going to do that really quick so you can see the name. So this is marbling with acrylics by faculty member Sarah Noreen. And this was a really cool process using acrylic paint and creating these beautiful abstract designs to use for especially like bookmaking, or if you want to print on the back of your prints or use this as a foundation design. You'll see these types of designs throughout in old books as well. So if you have any old books and you see these marbling techniques, this is a demo that taught you how to create those beautiful abstract marble designs, and really easy with acrylic paints. So when you're attending these demos, they outline everything that you need to reproduce the process at home. And I think it's one of the most important things about attending demos at SGCI. They will actually tell you how to take this process home with you. So it's not you just go there and you see something cool and then you can't do it back in your home studio or at the kitchen table. They will give you handouts and say, this is everything you need to create this type of art form at home. So instead of paying like $300 at your local arts center to attend a workshop, you can attend like an hour-long demo at SGCI and get everything you need. You would typically see 3 or 4 demos a day. This is John Hancock, a longtime SGCI member and a longtime faculty member in Texas. He's one of the funniest and most skillful craftsmen I know when it comes to making prints. And here he was doing a combination monoprint, screen print demo. So one of the important things I took away from this demo is that printmaking can often seem like a very strict 1, 2, 3 step-by-step process-oriented process, right? Like you have to do this step first and this step, and everything has to be lined up with the registration. But what John was teaching in this demo is that you really don't need things like tight registration all the time, right? You can just kind of put those things to the side, especially if it's keeping you from making the art you want to make. And here he's like literally just putting the screen on his sheet of paper and pushing speedball ink through it. It's like really incredible and fun to watch him work. You can just step inside a room and see a master creating art and just sit there and watch. It's so exciting. One of the other really cool demos I saw, and I can't wait to try out for myself, is a sculptural print with plaster demo. So here you see these 2 lino blocks. One's like a cool triangle shape. The other one is a conventional square. And what the the instructor in this demo, her name is Danny Coronado, she's a graduate student, is teaching you how to print not on paper but in plaster. So if you already like sculpture and you've worked in plaster, you can combine these two elements. And I think this like multidisciplinary approach to printmaking is one of the most mind-blowing things that I've learned throughout Southern Graphics. When I first started printmaking, I was very much like Lloyd Saunders. I was experiencing what he felt back in 1972, that everything is so isolated. Like I knew how to do etchings on paper, right? From like the 19th century, how James McNeill Whistler or Rembrandt did etchings. That's all I knew about printmaking. And then you go to this conference and you see that they're actually printing into plaster and making a sculptural object. Really incredibly mind-blowing. So here are a few pieces from Danny's thesis. And she's Peruvian, and so I'm not going to speak to the context of her work. She can do a much better job of that herself. But as you can see here, she has these beautiful designs that she's actually carved out of relief blocks and printed into plaster blocks. And that is what she was showing us how to do in this demo. So it's a especially fantastic technique if you don't have an etching press at home, but you still want to experiment with etchings, or if you're just wanting to see how you can push the limits of printmaking, right? How you can take it from just printing on paper to actually making it a sculptural print. So these demos, like for me, were worth the price of going to Southern Graphics Council alone. And this is just the first day. And so again, you're up close and personal watching these instructors, go through these demos. Here she is making the plaster mold. And then they have examples everywhere, right? So here's some beautiful etchings and engravings and reliefs print onto plaster. And as you can see there, they would list out all the ingredients. So here they would say, okay, it's a lino cut block. This is the type of ink I use. This is the type of plaster I use. So you can really get a strong idea of how you can reproduce this process at home, right? It's fully transparent. And I think one of the most exciting things about printmaking today is that printmaking is full of generous people who just want to share what they know, right? Because that leads the way to just like cross-pollination and making up new ideas. So when you go and see these demos, they're showing you absolutely everything. They're not hiding anything from the process. This was one of the craziest demos I saw. And what you're looking at here is a screen print exposure. So on the left here, you see a laptop with a picture on it. And that laptop is hooked up to a projector, and the projector is shining a light onto a screen. And so the screen is covered with a photosensitive emulsion. This is how we typically make screen prints. And the projector is burning that image into the screen. But here's the crazy part. You can't see it in the photo, but the image is moving. It is actually two images, one where the man is higher up, like he's falling down from the sky, and then this image here where he's about to hit the water. So it's not exposing a static image, it's exposing a moving image. And here, after they've burned the screen, you can see what the result is. And again, this isn't really something that you would find in a screen printing book. They are burning animations onto screens. And so you're exposed, no pun intended, exposed to so many wild types of processes here. Here's another demo I saw. And for you painters out there, you're more, the more spontaneous, people who like a more spontaneous approach to printmaking. This was a monoprint demo where they're just finding, like found objects. So they're not even using like conventional plates. They're pulling stuff out of the trash and monoprinting with them, just inking them up, putting them on the press, putting paper on top, and sending it through to see what happens. And they don't have a plan, right? They're just creating these prints step by step and seeing where the process takes them. So it's a huge emphasis on just letting the process be your guide. And here's some of the images that they use. There's like this slate marble, or not the images, some of the found objects they were using. There's like this slate marble here. I'm really excited about that because we have slate marble in our backyard. I just want to go grab a piece, ink it up, and print it. So those are some of the types of demos that you're going to see. And then there's the themed portfolios, right? If you're the type who really loves to soak in images of artwork, Southern Graphics is a really incredible way to just expand your mind and see what other artists are doing with the process. So the theme portfolios work like this. Southern Graphics Council member will organize a portfolio. They'll put a call out to a bunch of artists and say, hey, you want to make artwork? It's going to be shown at the conference. Those people will say yes or no, probably yes. And it's a great opportunity for students, of faculty to get their work seen. You never know who's going to see your prints. Or if you're an SGCI member, you can participate. But if you're just looking to get a lot of eyes on your artwork, then joining a theme portfolio is a great way to do that, because you're going to have hundreds upon hundreds of people walking by every day and looking at your work. And these portfolios are just put up in the hallways, right? They're just pinned up with magnets, plastered everywhere. And really beautiful work. It's incredibly inspiring to see all the different approaches to ideas and techniques that people do when they're participating in these portfolios. And so this is a portfolio full of mezzotins, just really gorgeous, inspiring artwork. And here's a portfolio called Relief Conspiracy. And it was just like, gosh, I don't know, 100 or so, like really small postcard size relief prints that people would send in the mail. And again, they're just pinning them up, and just incredibly beautiful, intimate work that you can just get up close to. So if you want to saturate your mind with different approaches to printmaking, theme portfolios are a great way to do that, because they're just everywhere. I loved this print with the Ouija board and the ghost. What a beautiful little intimate piece. I mean, it's like a little postcard size. Aaron Coleman. It was so great to see Aaron Coleman's work. He is faculty at University of Arizona now. He runs the lithography department, where he came there just after I graduated from U of A with a MFA in printmaking. And it was really exciting to see his work for the first time. So one of the great things about Southern Graphics is that the printmaking world is so small, and you just see these names floating about, right? When you're looking at printmaking programs or at artists. And when you go to Southern Graphics, you can match a face to the name and see the artwork in person. And he did these absolute, just like stunning, I think they were either screen prints or lithographs of this series. And he was tea staining the paper to get this like old weathered effect. Really absolutely stunning work. And I seriously almost bought a few. I didn't, but I almost did. When you go to Southern Graphics Council, you're going to see work by legends. And so Mel Chen received the Lifetime Achievement Award at Southern Graphics this year. He's a Houston-based artist, and they curated a huge exhibition of his at Madison Museum of Contemporary Art. And this was one of the most exciting exhibitions I'd ever seen in my entire life. No joke. And, you think you're involved in the art world, and then you go see an exhibition like this and you see what a living legend is doing with prints. And you're just thinking, how is this guy not on my radar? But he reminded me a lot of an artist like Christo, who, if you remember, he was like this installation artist. He would like wrap things in fabric. And so what Mel Chen would do was create schematics for these like beautiful public pieces of artwork. And the schematics would be actual prints. And so here's an example of this beautiful oversized skeleton that he created. And this is the print. And then this is the actual piece that was part of the public art exhibition. Really stunning work. I should say really quick that all this photography is mine. These are all photos that I took during the exhibition. I don't know if that was clear. I should say that, but you can just see the size of this piece from this photo right here. And like the scope of this work is huge. So you're going to see many exhibitions by living legends, and you'll get to ask them questions. They'll be there. It's so exciting. I think for practicing printmakers, whether you're setting up your own studio, or you want to set up a community studio, or if you are faculty, if you teach at a college and you want, or a school, a public school, and you want to set up your own print shop, when you go to Southern Graphics Council, you will get to walk around actual professional print shops. And at Madison, we were able to visit one of the legendary print shops called Tandem Press. And they're known for their presses, which have these V-shaped corners at the bottom. You can see in this photo here, this press has a 4-foot by 8-foot bed on it, and it was made especially for Tandem. You can just see how giant that press bed is. It's so incredible. But you'll get to understand how the pros organize their print shops. And you'll also be able to see the process behind the scenes. So you're not just seeing the artwork, you're actually seeing how they print the work. And you'll be able to ask them any questions you love. I just love that. They're right there and available, and you can ask them questions, anything from process to working with artists, print shop business models, or even like we're starting a print publishing business, working with other artists. But it was an incredible experience walking around Tandem and just noticing how they organize this relatively small printmaking studio. It's like 2 or 3 print rooms, and then a gallery. How they like output work, from really well-known contemporary artists. And I love the way they're hanging these brayers in the corner there. You see that little line of stacked brayers, really beautiful and eloquent. Here is their setup for their inks. And as you can see here, they have all their cans out so you can read them. They're readily available. They have also their little ink blots right there. So they have all of their drawdown tests, right? Testing the colors from the pigments right next to the ink. So you can see how it behaves on different transparencies and different types of paper. And then they have a large glass table on the bottom, and with all their scrapers on a magnet strip right below the inks. And then that shelving is just handmade. So this is just really invaluable insight, right? Walking around a professional print studio, seeing what books they have on their bookshelf, and walking through their gallery. So their gallery was incredible because not only were they showing artwork, they were showing the plates as well. And honestly, I haven't seen a professional printmaking studio actually showcase so many plates that the artists built to create the prints as Tandem did in this exhibition. So it was all about how the printers and the artists made the work. So what you see here on the right are a series of gem dime prints, and then you see the plate in the middle. So the 2 prints and then the wood block in the middle. And this is a close-up of the wood block, and you can see like all the scratches that Gem Dine was making with a Dremel and other engraving tools. So if constructing blocks is of interest to you as a printer, then like going to SGCI and seeing actual like wood blocks that artists use it's just an incredible experience. It's like peeping inside a like pulling back the curtain to see how the wizard makes his magic or her magic. I don't know. It's incredible to see this type of stuff. And then that's that same area. So like there's the area, and here's an up close of the block printed red and black. Just absolutely stunning. Right, here's another wood block, this like beautiful typewriter print. Right, and here's how Tandem Press organizes their litho rollers. Again, just walking around the print shop and observing these types of things will really help you understand how you can put together an efficient print shop no matter where your space is. Right, all their rolls of paper, and then they have a giant table so you can like unroll the paper and cut it. And if you notice on the top right there, that giant roll is actually newsprint. They have like this big newsprint roll and they just pull it out and cut. So really efficient. You get lots of good ideas. And I guess the printers at Tandem still listen to cassette tapes. They had a wall full of cassette tapes and this old-timey stereo. How awesome is that? All these like old badass printers. Not old, but they've been there for decades. And I just wonder, looking at these cassette tapes, how much like the actual tape has been worn thin. Like how good do those sound? Does it even matter? It was just really cool to see like a whole wall full of cassette tapes. And I think, wow, that's what they're listening to when they're printing. Oh, the Rolling Stones, that makes sense. Right, just beautiful ink everywhere. This is just like a fun photograph I took. Okay, so visiting print shops, a huge takeaway. At night, that's when the party starts and they have these exhibitions everywhere. So not just in museums and galleries, but in local bars and coffee shops. So we went to this one bar after the I think it was Friday night, third day, and there was a printmaking duo there, and they had a miniature press. So if you look in this photo, there was a miniature press in the bar, and they are printing blocks right then and there on demand. So you can say, hey, I want that block, and you give them a few bucks and they print a fresh print for you right then and there. So there is just so much energy. And if you look in the back corner there, you can see there's some prints on the wall. So when you're going to these bars, they just, it's hung like a professional print show in this case, right? You can look on the left and see all the prints lined up. They're at eye level, and then on the right too. But sometimes you go to these bars and they're just like plastered all over the wall. And so, of course, every single day, especially on the weekends, on Saturday, it's a big museum day. And Tandem Press had this huge retrospective at the Chazen Museum at Madison, and they were just pulling out some of their like a curated selection of the prints that they've done over the decades. And so here's this beautiful gem dyeing print, and then a Kara Walker print, absolutely stunning to see prints by artists like Kara Walker in person. Like, this is stuff that you've seen in, like, if you go to any large state museum like Philadelphia or Atlanta or SF MoMA, right, you're going to see Kara Walkers. But when you go to Southern Graphics Council and you see Kara Walker, like, you've also been to the actual print studio and seen the plates that produce like these gorgeous images. So you really establish a deep connection with the work that inspires you. I love that so much. This same exhibition had an Audubon show. I'd never really seen a lot of Audubons in real life, but here they had like ginormous Audubon books with etchings in them. So these are some of my major takeaways from the conference. And these takeaways are personal, but because they resonate with me as an artist and printer that that's been on lockdown, COVID for 3 years, they'll probably resonate with you too. So the first one is, it's a great opportunity to reconnect with colleagues and friends and make new ones, right? There are people at Southern Graphics that I've only met at the conference, and I don't see them, right, because they're across the US or something. I only see them at the conference. But really, when you see them, whether it's been 3 years or 1 year, it's like your old friends, right? It just clicks, and it's completely natural talking to them. So it's a great place to find colleagues, even if you see them once a year. Again, will really expand your knowledge in 3 days of what's possible and build a reference library. More on that in a minute. You also, I think this is the biggest personal one for me. You don't have to go to SGCI looking to impress anyone, right? There's like open portfolios there, and a lot of students and professional artists are showing your work. And before I went to the conference, I had just like a lot of personal fear because, my website isn't currently, professional artist website isn't in a state where I currently like it. Not a lot of my professional work is online. And, I would get these fears like, oh, well, if I meet this person at the conference and they go back and they, look at my website, and right, there's like a lot of internal fear when it comes to that. But when you go to these conferences and you meet new people and you're talking with them, like that connection, that back and forth conversation, is just so natural. And just that is the important part, right? No one there is going to say, okay, show me your artwork now. Oh, I don't like that. And I think part of me, despite knowing that in advance, that fear was still there. But anyone at Southern Graphics, they know the same amount of knowledge you know. So you don't really have to go there looking to prove yourself. When you strike up a conversation with someone, you already know that they know about prints and processes and all this. So like there's already this deep understanding between you and a complete stranger. You're not even strangers. So really, really incredible. So that's why I stopped the conference. And now I'm going to just piggyback on a few of these things. And the first one I'm going to talk about is just how you can, wow. Sorry about that. Is how you can build your reference catalog. Hold on just a second. I'm going to get rid of this. All right. So again, here is here's the brochure of the conference. But when you're visiting these museums, you're going to want to bring things home, especially because you were there. And if you're an artist, or if you're an artist, these exhibition catalogs serve as great inspirational material. But if you're a teacher like me, or faculty, or you run workshops, like these are just fantastic resources to show your students. And I just love having these catalog books, right? Because not only have you seen the exhibition, you have a book about it, and you can talk about the experience of being in the exhibition as they're showing people the books or looking at them for yourself. So this is a passion for prints. Here's another one, pressing innovation. This is the exhibition I showed you with the Kara Walker in it at the Chazen Museum of Art. Let's see here. Right, so they talk about the presses, Landfall Press, another big Midwestern press. You've seen all of this work in person. And so it really only makes sense to get the exhibition catalog, right, to bring it back. So you can reference it later on. And they're just absolutely stunning. Exhibition catalogs aren't really something that you order online. I guess you could seek them out, but I really see exhibition catalogs such as this as, look at these prints by David Lynch. Just absolutely stunning, right? Wow. They're three-dimensional. Like buying exhibition catalogs is really, it's like you stumble upon them, right, during the exhibition. So here's one I saw there, all Japanese woodblock prints. And so, especially if you're into this aesthetic, I love how deep and thematic they are. It's not like you're just buying a book on printmaking, right? You're buying a deeply curated thematic selection of prints. So this book, Progressive Printmakers, Tandem Press, was actually getting these books out for free. This book, probably retails for at least $30, probably $30 to $50. And again, beautiful full color photographs from printmakers in the Midwest, and an amazing reference catalog. Even if you just like looking at the pictures, it's going to inspire your practice. So this last reference catalog I want to show you is, been wanting this one for a long time, the Prints of David Lynch. So David Lynch is one of my most influential artists. We know him as a filmmaker. You know, Mulholland Drive and Blue Velvet are two of my favorite films. But you know, he's also a fine artist and photographer, and he's been printing at Tandem for decades. And looking at his prints, here he is drawing on I think a lithostone here, either a lithographic plate. Let's see. Right, and it has interviews with Lynch. You can see his artwork. His artwork looks just like his movies. But how incredible is it to go to the press where these prints were actually made, see the plates, and then come home with a reference catalog. So I honestly think, you know, that this isn't really confined to just Southern Graphics. Whenever you go to a museum or a gallery, if you love the exhibition, if there's a reference catalog, I highly recommend you pick it up. You won't regret it. But just seeing these prints by David Lynch is like one of my favorite things about the conference. So, okay, that's 35 minutes. I think I have said all there is to say. Actually, I think I covered a good 15% of Southern Graphics Council this year. A good 15%. Maybe need to have like 5 or 6 more talks about what I saw there. But that gives you an idea of what it's like going to these conferences and how important it is, and how just how saturated it is with just like forward-thinking printmaking ideas. Thank you so much for watching this. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to email me. Again, let me see. I'll just put my email up here. Let's see here, right? So email me if you have any questions about Southern Graphics or anything I talked about. If you have an interest in the demos, if you have any questions about the show, email me. If you have an idea for a topic, something you'd like me to cover, whether it's an idea about printmaking or a particular technique or some moment in history or a print that you like and you want to know the story behind it, write to me. Let me know. I'd love to work it in. So one thing you can do to help me help support the show is to share the show with your friends. So if you know anyone who likes this show, please share it with them. And of course, please subscribe on YouTube and Facebook. And that will really help me grow the show. That offers a lot of support. So thank you so much. And I'll see you next week. From Kalamazoo, this is Charles Coates. Have a good week.